Sometimes it's the same amount.
So this meeting is being live streamed, okay?
Not
Okay.
yet. There'll be a final one, I hope.
Oh, okay. Do we know if anybody's going to show up?
I don't know if we're live now or not. Let me ask.
Do we know if anybody's going to show up?
Oh, okay. So it says we are live. How about that?
Oh, we're live early.
Yep. Okay, so we're live. That was a false alarm because it told me there would be another one. So people should start coming in now. But we can just talk amongst ourselves while we're waiting. Wow, I've got to do a lighting switch here. Hey, look at me. Yeah.
You're flashing.
Yeah, I'm flashing. I got to do a lighting switch. Wow, I've got to do a lighting switch here. Hey, look at me. Yeah.
You're flashing.
Yeah, I'm flashing. I got to do a lighting. We had the lighting perfect, and then it changed.
All right. So we got
Already got a lot of
38 people
coming
watching.
in.
If people want to start posting questions, like we're live.
All right, we'll just go, even if there is a delay.
Start posting questions, like we're live.
That's a delay. Okay, hang on. Okay, hang on. I'm about to fix it. Stand by. All right. Fix it. Stand by. Okay. All right, Ken, if you want to go ahead, we can get going here. And if people want to go ahead and start asking their questions, as it's been, I don't know if it's been a year, it's been two since we've actually done one of these, Ken. But we are welcoming Rex, Coach Rex, who's with us for the first time to do a super chat tonight. And how we normally do it is just the way the world works. People who pay, to ask their questions, we're not going to ignore them. They're gonna move to the first of the line if they're willing to pay us, to answer the question. We don't want to be jerks. And I'm going to try to do something about this flashing here. See if I can figure this out. But Ken, if you want to go ahead and start reading some of the questions, that would be great. And we can get going and start helping some people here.
If it helps, I don't see the flashing you're talking about. I trust you that you see it, but unless you're having a seizure, in which case,
I could be.
heads up.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, hey, Dragstang, how are you? Hi from Vancouver. You see. First, my question, my ex broke up with me. She was so cruel and mean, showed zero compassion. I was crying and I'm in so much pain. She was being more and more mean and kept telling me to go away. Would you forgive someone like that? Um, I'll hit it real quick and then I'll throw it over to Rex. Looks like Lee's just kind of stepped away for a minute. It depends on the situation. I mean, look, somebody being cruel when you're devastated, that's definitely a warning sign. It's just kind of hard to know without more details. Like you might have done something that you can hurt somebody to such a degree that they just go numb, that they don't have much reaction at all. And if you've proven to them over time that their pain means nothing to you, then suddenly they can get to a point where your pain doesn't mean anything to them. Um, Anything short of that, though, if you were just really pouring your heart out and it was previously a good relationship and there's just nothing there, that's usually a pretty big red flag that maybe the person that you're seeing in that moment is the real them. Like who somebody is when they're in pursuit of you, who somebody is when you're in that state of limerence, when the relationship is really good, is not the most accurate version of who they are. It's the most intoxicating. It's the most attractive. It's the most exciting. Who somebody is when they know they have you, when the relationship is solidified and that initial excitement is gone, that's a more accurate version of the real them. And if that version of them is suddenly heartless, don't talk yourself into thinking that the loving best version is the real them. That really leads to a lot more pain down the road. That's my view. I'll throw it over to Lee or Rex.
Well, I
I'm
would
gonna agree
add,
with that
I
question
agree
again. Go ahead, Rex.
I agree with that totally. I would add to that when people dump you, they change.
Yeah.
They go from being loving and caring. It's almost like two players on a football team. You know, they're on the guard and the tackle. They're on the same team and they're working together. And all of a sudden, at the breakup, you're on a different team, and so it's like you're butting heads. And she may feel that she doesn't need you right now, and she can treat you the way she wants to treat you. I'm like, Ken, this would be a big red flag for me. One thing I would allow is a lot more time to pass. And if this continues, then I would definitely go the other way.
Yeah. A funny thing though is sometimes the shock of that level of cruelty can actually we're more instinctive than we are logical. So sometimes cruelty makes you miss them more, it makes it hurt more, makes you feel more broken, makes them feel more irreplaceable, and you'll hate yourself for missing the person that was so cruel. But sometimes that cruelty actually triggers more of a fixation, not less, because we're not as logical as we think. But like Rex just said, don't trust what your emotions telling you in the moment. As much as you can, just be patient with yourself and let them keep proving who they are. But Lee, did
Yeah.
you want to answer or do you want me to reread the question?
Well, I do want you to reread the question if I get it wrong. So was the question kind of how do you handle the fact that now if you're back together and you realize how cruel they were to you, is that kind of it?
No, it's a different one. We were kind of talking about that before, but this one is my ex broke up with me. She was so cruel and mean, showed zero compassion. I was crying and I was in so much pain, but she was being more and more mean and kept telling me to just go away. Could you forgive somebody who treated you that way?
Hmm. So for starters, we're working on getting the flashing um, taken care of here with my lighting. It was perfect, and then we went live on YouTube, and YouTube decided to have it flashing. And if those of you saw Coach Rex for the first time, that is the level of coaching that he provides. It is the coaching used on the space station for the astronauts by NASA. So it is impressive. Um, I was preparing
His
that
coaching
joke.
is out of this
So
world.
Yes.
I was preparing that joke, Ken. So would you read it again?
Oh yeah, sorry. My ex, let me see. I was crying and trying to fix the situation. Hold on. Uh, sorry. My YouTube is blocking everything.
It's basically they were broken up, and in the breakup, the ex was being hateful, and it even got worse.
He
And
was
they're still
begging, but
broken
yeah,
up, as I understood it.
he was begging and crying, and the more he hurt, the more devastated he was, the crueler she got.
Oh, yeah. You know, that's something that I had an early video, back when my videos looked really bad. Um, but that's kind of how YouTube was then. But it was, why is my ex so cruel? And a lot of people, it makes no sense how you could hurt someone and then your response to their pain is cruelty. And that tells you a lot about the other person. And sometimes it can be borderline personality disorder. We talk about that quite a bit. Sometimes that's how they will respond because a borderline person, um, will basically tend to view you through the eyes of whether they respect you or not. And especially if you're a guy, your pain is not something that a borderline woman is going to respect. And that's not fun to say, but that's life. That's how it is. That when you're hurting, it's not a good look on a man. And that's a sad thing. We're encouraged to be vulnerable and told that that's the secret to great relationships. But there are some people you cannot be very vulnerable to, especially when their attraction has fallen some. And so when they turn cruel in that moment, you are seeing someone who has contempt for you which Dr. John Gottman, who wrote a book called Seven Principles for Making Marriage Work, he lists contempt as one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, which means that if you have one of those, he can predict divorce is most likely in the future of that marriage if it's not resolved. It's one of the four things that he says, if it's happening, you've got to fix it or you're going to be having, most likely the marriage is going to fail. So you're seeing that with that person. But it's something that if I were you, I would use it to harden my heart. And I know that again, that don't ever harden your heart. Always have an open heart. That's not true. That's not how you live life. When someone is that way to you and they're cruel like that, you need to use that as fuel to strengthen yourself and harden your heart against them so that you don't hurt, so that you can actually see maybe this was not worth it. So that's my answer to that, that it's a horrible thing to see. And it's stunning and shocking that someone you love that much could respond to your pain in that way. You know, I have a client who, when she was breaking up with him and he was hurting and just asking for another chance, she said, you know, you're not going to find better than me. In that moment of his pain, she chose to build herself up and feed her ego and make a statement that's just bizarre. And I've tried to help him kind of see that as a way to harden his heart because he's realizing who he's really dealing with and he really shouldn't let that person in. So that's my answer to that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And like, I think it's a good marker, like who somebody is when they feel like they're in the dominant position. And like Lee said, especially if it's a personality disorder like borderline, when they see you hurt, it's evidence that you were never worthy of the level of attraction they felt for you in the beginning when limerence was so high. So now it's like the roles have flipped. And if you see too much joy or no compassion when they have that upper hand, that's a really dangerous sign. I mean, unless you burn their grandmother's house down or you assaulted their goldfish or did something that's really worthy of being demonized. But even then, there should be rage, there should be explanation. When somebody's just cold in reaction to your agony, that's a big sign. That's not something you should just let go because you're in love with the person you thought they were. Any last thing you want to add on there, Rex?
No, man, we've covered this one good.
All right, let me see. My ex just reached out after 5 months of no contact, said hello, and said she wanted some familiar comfort because of family issues. Then she apologized for reaching out and said she hopes I'm doing well. All right, I took it first last time. I'll throw it to Rex this time. You want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. We see this quite often. What you have to determine is this a friendship kind of thing? And the way I like to encourage my clients to deal with this is to always respond, always answer. Delay your answer, always give them an answer, and kind of cut the conversation short. In other words, don't give them exactly what you think they're wanting. Hold back a little bit and see what they do. See if they chase you a touch. And then you're going to figure out if this is something that they're making the contact to try to build something again, or are they just looking to cry on your shoulder or lean on your shoulder through this hardship in their family. So I believe that you should respond, but respond in a very business-like manner. Hey, it's I'm glad that you reached out. I've been really doing good, and it seems like you're doing good, and I hope you have a good day. And
Yeah.
so you just kind of open it up, and then you just kind of close it, and then you wait to see what they do with it.
Yeah.
One of the
Yeah.
things I like to do when a client asks me that, hey, they're reaching out, what do I do? Especially the first time they reach out, I really like the look of not appearing that you're taking this as an opportunity. In other words, I
Right.
remember one of the conversations I had in the early days when I was coaching, which I've done about 7,000 sessions. 5,000 of those, I think I was pretty good coach. The other 2000, there was a learning curve. But I remember this guy, he said, hey, when she reaches out, he's like, I guess I should ask her questions and get her talking, right? Which that sounds like relationship advice 101. And I remember saying, no, you actually want her to think, wow, he's not seeing this as an opportunity to like get me talking and to have a moment with me. And maybe he can check and see how I'm feeling, like a temperature check. And instead, I really like the idea of just giving them a one line response and then letting the conversation die to show them you're not making an effort. You're not seeing this as an opportunity. And, even just saying, not, I like also not asking a question. So instead of saying, how are you? I like the way Rex said it. That's how I do it too. You just say, um, it's been a great week. I hope yours has been as well. There's not even a question there, so it does
Yeah.
not come across as though you're trying to extend the conversation. And hopefully it would be real that you would not want to, because, you know, there should be some reservation there. This person has left you, they've broken this off. They've backed away from you. They don't want to be in your life anymore. It shouldn't be all sunshine and rainbows as far as how you view them. You should be thinking, I want a partner who's going to work on this. And if they're not going to, that's something you should be very cautious of when you're considering if you want to go forward with this person. So I like the idea of not letting them see any pursuit and just to say that and then let the conversation die so that as they think about it over the coming days, they're like, he didn't even make an effort.
Lee,
That's my personal favorite.
yeah, a lot of dumpers, when they try to come back, the way they do it is to try to get a two-way conversation going. And if you, as a dumpee, you've been hurt, and they reach out 5 months later, I would keep it as I would flip them into a one-way conversation. And what I mean by that is they say whatever this person said, I've got this personal crisis and I'd like to, I thought I'd reach out, blah, 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 blah. So you answer them, but you stay in control of it, just like we're talking about. Don't give them the power of a two-way conversation. Make them work for you to having any more conversation with them.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't allow it right then. I would, when you say have a good day, you cut it off. That's like saying don't bother me anymore today. So you kind of, your goodbye is kind of in staying in control. Now they may reach out the next day or a week later, and you could kind of go through the same scenario again. And the only way I would let them have a two-way conversation with me is for them to say some kind of repentance. I'm sorry, I've treated you badly. Could you
Yeah.
and
Or,
I
or
have?
or just an acknowledgement that they want to initiate a conversation, like, can we talk?
Yeah.
But something like that. But I think if it's not number one, it's got to be near the top of the thing that ruins and sabotages a chance to win somebody back. You get breadcrumbed a little bit, and then logic and fear just flood your brain. Oh, I heard from them. As soon as I hear from something, even if it's small and meaningless, I need to seize the opportunity. I need to turn this spark back into a fire. And the number one way I see people sabotage no contact is overreacting to that. I look at it like the tipping point to when they come back is when they're more afraid they've lost you and they're going to regret it long term than they are confident that they could have you back if they change their mind. So a lot of times when you're doing no contact, you're showing unexpected strength. Human ego and human nature makes us wonder why the person that we thought was going to chase us isn't chasing us. It makes us re-examine their worth enough sometimes that we start to maybe fear that we made a mistake. So naturally, what's the thing you're going to do to try to comfort yourself that you haven't made a mistake? I'll just poke them. I'll just send them a little message. I'll just call them. I'll just say, "Hey, can we talk?" And then we talk, and even when they say, "Can we talk?" don't give them a 2 to 4 hour conversation. Don't immediately reassure them that if they change their mind, you're right there. You've been waiting with your fingers crossed and with this excitement, because then you reassure them that you're still an option. Their sense of loss goes away, and they push you away again. It's like just kind of responding to it with a sense of strength. Like, hey, it's good to hear from you, but I'll even tell somebody if that other person keeps breadcrumbing like into that 3 or 4 times, but they're not making any consistent movement. One of my favorite responses is, "Hey, it's good to hear from you, but we should probably get used to not being in each other's lives." project strength when they're expecting you to pursue. And look, if they're the person you think they are and it's the relationship you hope it was, a lot of times that's the thing that snaps them out of this and makes them remember just how special the two of you were. But being there anytime they reach out, that's the number one thing I see. The other person will give them so much reassurance that I've just been here with my fingers crossed, hoping for another chance. And then they disappear again.
You know, this reminds me, and it's a great segue because a lot of people are seeing Coach Rex for the first time. He was my first breakup coach. I was about 17, I think, and I was in his car. Pretty sure it was the Audi, Audi or Audi or however you say it. I think it's Audi.
Yeah.
That you had, Rex. Maybe not. And we're riding
Yep.
along, and I'm just miserable. And I wanted to ride with him to talk to him about it, because when you're heartbroken, you just want to talk to anybody and tell them, oh, it's not fair, and see what wisdom they have. And I was telling him, I'm trying this. I'm calling her constantly. I'm telling her how much I love her. I'm writing her notes at school. And he just kind of listened patiently. And finally he said, you're probably not going to believe this, but you will get further with her if you just stop trying to get her back. And, he was not officially a breakup coach at that point. He was somebody that people went to, though. I know lots of people went to him, but at the time it wasn't something that was really in the vernacular, but he would advise people on these things. This was back in the 90s. And he told me that. And I remember thinking, he just doesn't get it. He doesn't understand that what she really needs is to just know that I will never give up, that I will go to the ends of the earth to get her back. That's what she really needs. But what's interesting is I got so desperate because what I was doing was not working that I just gave up. I decided, well, it's not going to happen. I might as well give up as badly as it hurts. And that person did end up reaching out to me. It was a year later or so, and I was dating somebody else. And I let the woman that I was dating at that time read the email. And she said, I want to see what you respond with because she wants you back. And she said some things in there that were beyond hinting at it, that she wanted to make things like they were. And so I sent a very casual response back, and we really never spoke again after that. But it wasn't until that I gave up, and it took me a while to give up. And that was a big lesson for me. But this is Coach Rex, who's been talking, who's with Coach Ken and I here tonight for the first time, hopefully of many super chats where we'll be answering questions.
Well, let's get the whole story in there. I had a little experience. At that time, I had 2 failed marriages and many, many relationships. And I had learned through living it myself. And so that was the reason you got the advice that I gave you. And it is when you've lived it and you've made the mistakes. And this is what I tell my clients now. Even when they think they've made a mistake in the relationship, the best teacher in the world are mistakes if we will learn from those mistakes. And I see so many people who want to make the same mistake over and over and over again. I did some of the same stuff too. But what happens is if you will look back on mistakes and not let them get to you emotionally, but if you will learn, what did I do wrong? When I said this, why did she do that? Or when I said this, why did he do that? And that's what I've been able to do. I remember at one point in time, I had this little talk with God, and I said, God, look, why have you allowed this? I grew up to be married to one woman for the rest of my life. That's all I ever was taught. That's all I ever wanted. And now I know why he didn't allow it. Because I can help a young man that was 17 years old that had never been broken up with before. I can help currently someone who's 30 or 40 or 50 years old that's never been broken up with before. And I know the emotions on both sides of all of that. So I think experience, if all of us, like if you're listening now and you've been broken up with And maybe you say, oh, if I'd have just done this, or if I'd just done that. Don't count this as a mistake. Count this as a blessing. Let this be a learning experience. Your breakup is a teacher. It's the best teacher. A mistake is the best teacher in the world.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like me and Lee were both trained for years by a guy named Dr. Beam, right? So we all three of us have been through really painful breakups. We all three know relationship dynamics. It doesn't make you immune when you're going through a really painful breakup. Your brain and your heart are going to go to war with each other, and logic and fear will compel you. When you're in pain, it activates your brain, and your brain goes in problem solving mode. And it wants to get out of that pain by getting that person back. So, as much as you think you're thinking logically, what we forget is that relationship isn't built on logic. Women and men don't come back because you make a really good point, or because you show them you love them more than anything, or because you promise everything that you can change. Sadly, projecting unexpected strength, becoming a stronger, better version of who you were when they walked away from you, is by far a more effective way to reattract them. It creates confusion. Confusion creates this need to re-examine. Re-examining kind of creates attraction, and it can happen fast. But in the middle of the pain, your pain is going to tell you, I have to do this. I have to do this. But like what all three of us are really saying is that we've all been through that. We just know not to trust the emotion, not to trust that wave. And the funny thing is, your pain will take all kinds of forms. It'll take the form of God's voice. This is God telling you, now's the key moment to send that message. Or this is destiny. Or if you believe in manifestation, this is the universe telling you right now is the key moment to send that message. That's your pain trying to trick you into doing something that seems logical. And sometimes the core of no contact is take a deep breath, realize that that person really shouldn't be the definition of whether your life is going to be a success or not. There should be something about your life, your identity, your purpose that's more central to whether your life is a success or a fail than what some other human being thinks of you. And just kind of regrounding yourself and starting to pretend like you have strength before you feel it. Like their story is the same thing with my ex-wife. I was in, no, it's funny, I'm saying ex-wife, so you know how this story turns out. But I was in no contact for 6 months. 5 of those months, I was just desperate to get her back. But after 5 months of pretending like I was strong enough to not need her, I reminded myself I was strong enough to really not need her. And ultimately, she came back, and I had a chance to step back into that relationship. But by that time, I could see clearly enough to realize this was an abusive, toxic, unhealthy relationship. And if I step back into it, I'm getting back on the roller coaster from hell. But sometimes you just have to be patient with yourself while your emotions and your mind and that God voice is whispering something in your ear that isn't really true at all. You have to trust the principle more than you trust that emotion.
Definitely. Oh yeah, go with your logic. So I know, Ken, we have some paid paid questions we need to get on. Are you seeing those?
Yeah. And this guy, it's funny what we're talking about. Caleb says, Title IX burned me bad in family court. She got the kids 75% of the time. I have to pay $4,200 a month. She lives in the house that I built and paid for. I want to move back in due to the expenses and the kids. He sent me an email, so I'll check that email. But this is a good example of when that emotion is convincing you to keep chasing. But maybe, despite what that emotion is telling you, what the pain is telling you, I see a lot of good people chasing after unhealthy people, unhealthy relationships, just because the trauma of the breakup is strong evidence to them that the two people belong together. But I even made a video once, and I got a little emotional. But I was even telling people, "Hey, stop, stop using a relationship coach to get somebody back that is really unhealthy and is just going to hurt you." Sometimes the problem with no contact is it works because it works by triggering their ego, their sense of loss. So they might come back to you not really because they love you, but because you put an unexpected wound in that ego and they need to get you back to prove they can get you back. And then they leave you in even worse condition.
So, in a situation where there's kids involved in a failed a marriage, especially where you have been, sounds like treated unfairly, which, doesn't make sense. And that's a whole other avenue to get into. But one of the first things, if this is something that is worth saving, because I know Ken, talked about sometimes it's not, but especially with kids involved in a family and things like that, you kind of have to start with the smallest of steps. And sometimes you just simply say to this person, look, because we are co-parents, we should at least be able to be civil, and we need to
Yeah.
talk about the kids. Let's have coffee or let's have lunch once a week, and let's just go over, what's going on with the kids, whatever other details we need to discuss as parents, which may be very difficult. It would be difficult for me to do if she had mistreated me like that, um, legally, and had turned into a monster, which I had a close friend going through a divorce, and he went to therapist, went to the pastor at his church, and I was like the third guy he wanted to talk to, and he told me about it, and I said, I'm going to tell you what's most likely going to happen. She is going to turn into someone you do not know. She's going to turn into a monster. She's going to probably try to take the kids from you in some form. You're thinking right now you'll get split custody. She's going to try to get majority custody. She's going to do something, and she's going to try to screw you financially. And he said, oh, but I mentioned my concerns about that to the counselor and the pastor, and they both
Hmm.
told me they thought she was going to be completely fair.
Wow.
I remember being told that myself. Of course, I was, in my 20s. I was kind of treated like I was being naive. And this was just someone that I respected quite a bit. Turns out I was right. He bet me $100, never paid. But
Probably needed $100.
yeah, I sure did.
No, I mean the dude that's going through that divorce is probably gonna.
Oh, no, no. I'm saying that the guy, this was a relationship expert I was talking to.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, they turn into monsters, a lot of times because you get lawyers involved and their job is to win. And so they will convince them that they're just doing what is normal, and they'll try to get as much as they can. So my advice to you, especially, to the men out there, don't think that by being nice legally, you're going to become more attractive, because as I say to a lot of men, she's not more attracted to you when she
Can
whips your
dominate.
butt in court. When she defeats you, you don't become more attractive to her. That's number one. Number two, though, and I kind of got off, but because that's already happened, and I'm sorry that happened to you. But if you're able to be civil with her, I would start there and having like a weekly lunch. Try to work that into, maybe we could all have a family meal at the house. And again, this is, you don't just pitch that at the first time, but if things start going well, you're being able to be civil with each other, and you can kind of sense there's some kindness from her towards you and that she doesn't have a lot of resentment. Pitch a family meal night. And of course, I'm assuming no one else is in the picture, but I never assume that. So there might be someone else. I don't know the details. But if you can start that way, and then your kids become a help to you, and I'm not saying, oh, use the kids, but when you have the kids and you're able to be mom and dad again, and the kids are there, you kind of start to build this family foundation. And maybe now you add movie night. And so you have movie night, the whole family's there, and she's on the couch beside you. There are stranger things certainly that have happened. I do normally say that it's harder to get the toothpaste back in the tube when we were talking about a divorce, and it's tough, but I have seen it happen. I've seen people remarry,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the intro. I know you emailed Ken, and one of us can definitely kind of walk you through some of that, but that's definitely where you start. You don't want to start with the conversation about, will you please take me back? You don't have any leverage. You have to kind of weave your way in, and after time, really, rather than a conversation, it might come down to making a move where you're on the couch. And again, you're going to have to really be on this as far as knowing how to read her, and if she's interested and open to this, but going in and kissing her out of the blue, and trying to move things forward as though you're dating her again, sometimes is the best way to do that.
Yeah,
Lee, let me add, if you don't mind, about the kids. Kids normally do better than the adults do in this kind of environment. And so I would say to this gentleman, just keep being a good dad. I would say that being a good dad before it was more important than trying to piece back the relationship with their mom right this minute. Him just being there for the kids, doing things with them, having his time with them, whatever it is, if it's 25 or if it's 75. And that's all he can control right now. He can't control getting back with her. And I know that's what he wants. But as you were saying earlier, and we don't want to phrase it quite this way, But the kids, his relationship with the kids is going to prove a lot to every set of eyes that's watching, including hers. I don't want him to worry too much. The kids really do better than the adults in most breakups. I've lived that. I've got a son, Lee, is a year older than you, and we divorced. His mom and I divorced when he was a year old, and I knew I was going to be a part-time dad for the rest of our life. But it's turned out to be a really great relationship. So the kids do adjust, and they still love you no matter what.
Yeah. Well, he just added to it though. He said he's not sure after everything she just put him through, she'd have to have a 180-degree turn for him to even
Absolutely.
consider it again, which I believe me, I understand. I've been exactly where he's describing. As far as just moving back in based on financial or any other like legal positioning, I would definitely trust the lawyer. Like I'll even tell my clients, I'm like, look, as far as attraction strategy, I can tell you this. As far as legal strategy, financial strategy, I don't want to speak into a situation. I don't know the details of that circumstance. I would say if it's in any way, what's the word? Not an amicable, but a
Hostile.
adversarial. Yeah, yeah. Then I'd be very careful. Like
It's
I've
better
seen
that
it.
kids
I've
don't
seen,
see that, right?
yeah, and I've seen thousands of times. You can have the no intention of anything, no harm, no foul, no violence, nothing, no bad intention at all. But sometimes being in that close proximity, you set yourself up to be accused of being a danger. So just be really careful. Like the main thing is I'd be letting her know that I don't need her. I'm ready to move on without her too, and focus on the kids as much as you can. Whatever way, I wouldn't do anything that jeopardizes my ability to have impact in my kids' lives. That'd probably be the number one priority. But I'm sorry. I'm really sorry you're going through that. I think we know from experience what that feels like. Let me see. So the guy, the original question, he just sent in some money and said, okay, but the question he wanted to know, should he forgive her? Would we be able to forgive her for that cruelty? Just to kind of wrap that one up, I would say forgiveness is not the same thing as restoration. I'm a Christian. I have no qualms about saying that. If that offends you, I couldn't care less. So I'm a big believer in forgiveness. That doesn't mean I can forgive somebody and not restore them to the same position that they were in before. So
It
if
would
somebody's,
also can require repentance on her part,
oh yeah, I'm looking for remorse. I'm looking for a change of heart.
genuine repentance.
Yeah. But okay.
I'm sorry. That's not repentance.
Yeah. Yeah, a change in action and attitude and ability to recognize and express consistent remorse. All right, here's one. What's the difference between making them show effort? Okay, this goes back to what we were talking about when they reach out to you a little bit. What's the difference between them making them show an effort and discouraging them from continuing to reach out or trying at all?
Ah, yeah. And I talk about that a lot. You want to um, make sure that you don't discourage them from reaching out. And that's where sometimes, people will say, well, should I ignore them? And I'm not completely opposed to ignoring someone, especially if they've been horrible to you after the breakup. But if it's simply, they were, I'm sorry to hurt you. I don't, I don't feel the same. I don't want this anymore. And they weren't cruel to you, so there's not a lot of resentment. It's just kind of how it goes sometimes. If it's that type of situation, there's no need to ignore them. It's just what you do is send a simple response. I was talking about this earlier. Just kind of if they do reach out to you, your goal at that point to make sure you don't discourage them is just to give them a response. Now they know they can reach out to you and you will respond, that you're not going to ignore them. So they know that that is open. What you do then is you just respond with something fairly casual. Like if they say, hey, I hope you're having a good week. Or I had a client, yesterday say that maybe it was today, that she reached out and just kind of said, I wanted to check in and see how you were doing. And a lot of times that's because there's guilt. They don't want to hurt you. They're kind of hoping that maybe you'll just be fine. But then when they hear you're fine, then they start thinking, wait a minute, am I not so attractive that he's going to be just hurting? But, I said, just respond and say, I'm doing pretty good. I hope you're having a good week too. You can't say, I'm doing awesome. It's the best week of my life or something, because that's just going to seem fake. But if you say I'm doing pretty good, I hope you're having a good week too. You're not even asking a question. they know you're going to respond at that point. And so it gives them a green light for that, but you're not chasing them down and you're not trying to extend the conversation. So to me, that is the happy median where you don't discourage them, but you also don't let them think that this is going to be easy and I don't have to do anything. It's kind of like, hey, I'm listening if you want to do what you need to do, but otherwise, I'm not going to clean up the mess for you.
Yeah, I used to call it you don't want to be training wheels and help somebody learn to live life without you. And a lot of times somebody will break up with you. You don't show the expected level of pursuit or you show an unexpected level of strength. That's going to rattle them a little bit. Again, ego drives more than we want to admit. So all of a sudden they reach out to you. It's almost like they don't want to tell you, but they're looking for that lingering pain, that lingering attraction, because it reassures them they haven't lost you. A lot of times they'll let you be their training wheels. In other words, well, as I'm getting used to not being in this relationship, anytime I miss you or want to have a conversation or I'm going through a hard time, I'll just reach out to you and you're still there. And before long, they don't need you anymore. But we kind of like using the reasonable approach. Like that's a simple word that gets kind of neglected sometimes. If somebody's made a conscious decision to end a relationship with me and walk away, I don't need them to come back and throw themselves on the sword and pour out all of their regrets and sob and tear their shirt and gnash their teeth. I just need them, like I think Rex said earlier, be the one to initiate meaningful contact. Something like, can we talk? Or I think I messed up. Or are you still willing to have a conversation with me? Just something that you're looking for a reasonable initiation from them that they would like to carry the conversation into some kind of a meaningful depth. Otherwise, they can kind of keep you dragging on and on and on. So you don't want to be there forever.
And Ken, there's a lot of dumpers that when they dump you, they're thinking more temporary than permanent.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all remember back in high school, but you remember breaking up with your girlfriend just to see if she really cared about you or not?
Yeah, I never did
Did
that.
you ever do that?
I never, I would, yeah, different strokes, brother, but I know it happened, so no judgment, but yeah.
But the point I'm making is I've learned through the years that there's a percentage of dumpers who are thinking more of a temporary dumping, like a few months. In
Yeah.
the back of their mind, they think, oh, one day I might want to get back with old Ken. You
Yeah.
know, uh, I want to play the field or I want to whatever. And so um, we have to allow, in case that is the situation, we can't just let them back in on any kind of little reach out, you know, and go back into this two-way buddy conversation and relive the past and all that. To me personally, the dumper has got to earn that right to have
Absolutely.
that kind of conversation with me, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's like a lot of times no contact, you're projecting unexpected strength, which is attractive. Then they come back and immediately are met with so much excitement that it's almost like, oh, okay, good. Yeah, you were still crazy about me. And then you're teaching them that they're the prize.
Yeah,
In a healthy relationship, both people feel like they're with the prize. You don't want to keep reinforcing this behavior that I'm the lucky one to have you come back and bless me with your presence. Forget that. You're going to end a relationship with me. You need to respect me enough at least to be the one to initiate meaningful conversation.
I've got a case right now uh, on a lady who has been seeing off and on a medical doctor. And he got divorced and he's been playing the field. This has been going on for a couple of years. And I've been working with her for a couple of years. And you know why?
Yeah.
Because she will not put him in no contact and let silence be her friend. She thinks of silence as her enemy.
Yeah.
Well, I finally convinced her because just recently to try silence as your friend. Think of it as your friend. And again, I've had this conversation with her 100 times. She finally did it. Guess what happened?
Yeah.
On Valentine's Day, guess who reached out? He
Yeah.
hadn't reached out in months. Guess who reached out? Said Happy Valentine. And they're starting to rebuild. And so my question to her was, why do you think this happened? And she said, because I did something different. I quit chasing him. I
Unexpected strength.
let's be my friend.
Yeah. Unexpected strength creates a sense of unexpected loss. Unexpected loss makes us want to reclaim that ego wound. Like I have I don't have it ready or I could screenshot it. I have a client like what you're talking about, and every 2 or 3 weeks, this guy reaches out and she would respond, and then she stops. And then his response is, she's like, he's just going to go away if I don't respond at all. His responses actually got more and more.
Yeah.
And then he got angry, which is a normal reaction sometimes, especially if you're a douchebag like this guy is. And he got angry that she wasn't giving him that ego stroke of her responses. So he said something kind of insulting. And she said, "What did I say to this?" I said, "Tell him, don't you ever talk to me that way again, or I'll block you and you'll never hear from me again." And she was scared to say it. She was like, "I don't want to say that." I said, "Well, look, this what you've been doing isn't working. So what do you have to lose?"
That's
So
right.
she did it, and within an hour, it went from blah 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 insult to "Don't you ever talk to me like that again, or I'll block you" to "I love you,"
Yeah.
like just like that.
Yeah.
It's like what he's not the prize anymore. You sometimes you have to remember your value before you can remind them of your value.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and going back to what Rex said originally about sometimes it's a temporary breakup, that's a pet peeve of mine because that's one reason you don't ever want to show them that if they break up with you, that you will flatter them and beg and plead and do all these extraordinary things, because then you're just teaching them, if you break up with me, look at the extraordinary lengths I'll go through.
Yep.
Look what I'll do. You teach them that that's how they can manipulate you, which it's really such an immature thing to do to someone, to break the relationship, to try to send them a message and get them to do something you want them to do. Do not tolerate that. If they, and I have some clients where that's a common thing where they break up, every few months and all that. And one of the best things you can possibly do is not do anything.
If you let them back in too easy, and I've had this has happened over and over to me. It happened right here in Tennessee with a client of mine. We started talking. She broke her guy broke up with her. They were living together. He moved out. Um, I talked about what she should do, the no contact, and how to handle that. And when he responds, how to handle that. And in 2 weeks, he had contacted her and wanted to go ring shopping to give her an engagement ring. And she was all excited about how wonderful this was. You know what happened? With less than 2 months, guess what he did? He did the exact same thing that he did when we broke up with her originally. Exact same thing. So
Yeah.
my point being here is if you let the dumper back in too quick and too early, it's most likely going to happen again, just the same way.
Yeah. Well,
And
one
I
of the
see
one
this over and over and over.
Yeah, I agree. One of the first things I remember Dr. Beam teaching us, he said there was a survey. I think he said 10,000 women answered it anonymously. What's the single most attractive quality a man can possess? And this was reported by women. It wasn't a theory. By far, and they've repeated this with smaller surveys over time. At the time, the number one word was dominance. And it doesn't mean in a sexist way, like they're attracted to a man that dominates them. But they meant dominance in a sense that in his field, in his realm, he has a sense of resilience, a sense of above average success. Women, especially, are attracted to strength. When you go through a breakup, you just start pleading and begging and chasing, and you're killing attraction. It's impossible for somebody to maintain consistent attraction for somebody that they don't respect. And you can't respect somebody if you view them as an eternal option. They're my safety net. Anytime I want them, they're right there. Like the metaphor I use is the house and the porch. The house is the relationship. They break up with you. You're heartbroken. You go out the door and you camp out on the porch and you stay there forever, knocking on the front window, going, "I'm still here. I'm still here." You can't miss somebody who's never left. You can't feel lucky to have somebody that refuses to go away. So you're sabotaging the very thing that re-triggers attraction because you're quote unquote fighting for the relationship.
Oh, definitely. And quick commercial here. If you want to book a coaching session with any of us, you can do that at myexbackcoach.com. The website is myexbackcoach.com, and you can book a session with Coach Rex or Coach Ken, and you can book with me as well. Ken, we got another question fired up.
Yeah, okay. You guys might need to help me with this one. I'm not sure I totally understand it, but she broke up with me 2 months ago, and I've been blocked while in no contact since then. She knows my mom was presumed dead at the time and likely influenced from friends and family that I manipulated by telling them in my time of need.
I saw that. I interpreted that as maybe he was accused of being manipulative by telling her his mom was pronounced dead.
Or presumed dead, which is an unusual situation. Presumed dead. I assume she's missing. So, okay, that was my read on it too. Rex, is that what you're hearing?
Yeah, I think so.
And I asked for clarification. I don't want to, make an assumption that's wrong, but that makes me pretty mad, right? Like, if my mom was presumed dead, and my friends and family, of course, I'm going to tell my friends and family if it looks like my mom is presumed dead. I'm going to tell people I care about. If she's so self-absorbed that she thinks I'm telling friends and family about my presumed dead mother to try to manipulate her into contact, I mean, am I reading this wrong? If that's the
Yeah,
situation, I couldn't care less what
no,
somebody
I'm not
self-absorbed.
going to reach out to. I'm not going to try to do anything.
Yeah,
I'm not going to try to strike up something that might reunite.
yeah,
Because if someone is that cold hearted,
right.
or they think that they're so valuable to say that you're telling me about your mom's illness or death or whatever, just to get a way to talk to me, if their ego is that big,
Yeah, let
I
them
can't
go.
live with them. I can't build a life with that.
Yeah, let them go.
And he just clarified. He said that it seems like several people maybe were even saying that he tried to use that to extend their relationship.
Yeah.
So,
Well, he needs to prove everybody wrong by not trying to extend the relationship at all. And if there's any word spoken, it needs to come from her reaching out to him saying, look, I said some things I shouldn't. I made a big mistake here. I'm so sorry. How is your mom? Can I do anything to make this right? And that's, to me, the only time he should have a conversation with her.
Yeah, and it
yeah,
brings up a good aspect though that doesn't we don't talk about it a lot because it's never the main question, right? But it's friends and family. Like I'm a big believer, and I've seen this sabotage winning somebody back a lot of times too. They're doing no contact, but they're telling the people in their circle that, oh, I'm still hoping I hear from them. Still hurt for them. I want them to know that I'm still hurting a little bit. I'm not going to tell them, but I hope my friends and my
Yeah.
circle let them know. You're wasting your time. You want to tell your friends and family the same thing you hope they hear about, especially if they overlap at all. You want to tell your friends and family, hey, I still miss them. You can admit you still miss them, you still want them, you still love them. But say something like, but hey, if they don't want to be with me, I don't want to be with some. It doesn't matter how much I love them. If they've chosen not to be with me, I'm sure we'll both find the person we're supposed to be with. I have no interest in talking somebody into being with me that isn't excited about being with me. So I wish them the best. Project strength even to your friends and family. Now, you might not feel it. So if you have a coach or if you have one person that you trust, but be very careful. Everybody tells one person, so it can easily get back to them that you pretending to be in no contact is really just a strategy to hope
And if
to.
they're a mutual friend,
Yeah,
trust me,
yeah, they'll
whatever
find
you
out.
say is going to be told to them. That's just the way mutual friends work.
Yeah,
yeah. And I have told people that so long, and you have no idea how many people learn the hard way. And they'll even
Yes.
say, but this person, I thought, I was listening to you, coach, but this person promised me that they wouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
And they did. It happens over and over and over because people just can't help themselves. And so I usually tell people, just stop talking to people about it. Talk to me about
Well,
it.
if you're going to talk to anybody that's a mutual friend, tell them what you want them to tell you.
exactly. Yeah, tell them that's why I like the. Yeah, I miss them, but I don't need them. And if they
Yeah,
don't want to
and
be with
look,
me,
I'm doing better than I thought I would do.
yeah,
My business is picked up, or I've really thrown myself into my work, and things are really going well for me. But
yeah.
I wish her well. I don't think bad of her.
Yeah, you don't have to pretend like you don't care. You can say, "Look, I still miss them. I wouldn't have chosen the breakup, but if that's what they wanted, then I'm glad they told me.
Yeah.
I don't have any interest in trying to talk somebody into staying with me, so I wish them well." That actually packs a punch. They hear
Yeah.
unexpected strength, it can draw them back. But like Lee said, oh my word, I've heard it so many times. I can't believe they told her. I'll get emails or the next call, it'll be like, oh, I'm so mad. Turns out, and a lot of times your friends and family think they're doing a good thing. Oh, you guys belong together. I thought if I told them that you still love them, that would maybe bring the two of you guys back together. So sometimes with the best of intentions, they'll sabotage everything.
Yeah, and just to tell you a horror story, because I want to try to convince every person who's hearing this who might be thinking, yeah, but there's this one person who's a mutual friend. I'm going to tell anyway. I had this one client who told his friend that he was doing no contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, don't tell him your strategy. Don't broadcast your strategy, because you know what that person told his ex? He's
Yeah.
doing no contact,
Yeah.
which, wow. I mean, he still needs to do it, but now it doesn't have the sting anymore. It's like, oh, that's why he's not contacting me, because he wants me back. So,
Yeah.
so don't tell them what you're doing. And here's the hard truth: they don't want to hear it anyway. You know, they don't. They just don't want to hear it. So you can talk to a coach about it. You can talk to maybe your parents, but I've even seen parents reach out to the person
Absolutely.
and say, "My son or my daughter is just hurting so much. You know,
Yeah.
will you please consider
And by
doing
the
something?"
way,
They'll do it.
parents and friends have great intentions. They love you and they want you to be happy, and they
Yeah.
will do absolutely anything to encourage happiness. And sometimes that's sneaking around telling your ex that you really do still care, hoping that that's the glue that will bring you back together. It it's just rare that that works. Very
Yeah.
rare.
Yeah, and I'm a big believer too. Like one of the principles that stuck, I think it was Joe that said, look, sometimes your strongest belief and your when your actions and your beliefs don't line up, and that is no contact. No contact in the beginning is you pretending to have more strength than you actually feel. But if you're doing no contact the right way, the longer you pretend or make yourself act like you're strong enough to live without them, the more you remind yourself, the more you become strong enough to live without them, which is the best chance to win them back. Becoming the person who's not desperate to get them back. So even when you're telling friends and family, it's funny. It's like your brain will hear you talk. So when you tell friends and family, yeah, I still miss them. Yeah, it still hurts, but I don't want to be with somebody that's not excited about being with me. What am I going to wake up every morning and go, how do you feel about me now? How's today looking for you? I've been working on my cooking. I've been working on my cleaning. I've been in a constant state of trying to impress them enough to stay with you. Is not attractive. So the more you actually hear yourself say something like, I really don't want to be with somebody that isn't excited about being with me. Your brain will hear you say that, and you'll actually start to admire yourself a little bit more. And the more you live that out, your consistent actions will change your beliefs. So it's just a real thing that happens. It just doesn't feel like it's going to happen.
I read this quote a few years ago. I wish I had written down the source, but I didn't. But it's like this: when you can't have something, it becomes more attractive.
Scarcity principle.
And,
Yeah.
and so just think about, if you've been dumped, you can't have your ex right now. And right now, they're more attractive to you than they've ever been. Why? Because you can't have them.
Yeah.
What no contact often does is it flips that principle, and it makes the dumper realize that they're re-attracted to you. Why? Because they can't have you.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want you to be a butthole about this, but I want you also to not be just available. If they send you a text message, don't answer it in 5 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait
Rex
five
getting fired up,
hours.
dropping the butthole bomb, baby. I'm with you.
Wait 5 hours.
Yeah.
If they say, how are you doing? Don't just jump on there and saying, oh, I'm doing terrible. How are you doing? No, wait a while and then say, hey, thank you for reaching out. I'm doing really good. How are you? Or how's everything going? So the point being, we want to flip the attraction, and it's very easily done if they believe at some point that they may have screwed the pooch and broke up with you, and now all of a sudden you're not responding, you're not begging like they thought you would.
Yeah.
They get reattracted to you.
Yeah. And I think we got the title for this live chat. It should be like Pooch Screwing and Butthole Bombs with Coach Rex. That should be the name of this super chat. But no, I'm with you. I think that's another principle people don't realize. Like people will say this all the time. Why am I hurting so much more than them? Like they're taking the breakup so much better than me. Well, it's because of what Coach Rex just said. If I'm the one ending the relationship, I don't lose anything. I know you still want the relationship. I know if I call you right now, you're going to pick up the phone. I know I can call you and meet you for dinner and you'll happily jump at the chance. My access to you actually went up because now you have a fear of losing me forever. I become more important to you. Meanwhile, I'm less accessible to you. You don't know if you'll ever talk to me again or see me again. You don't know if I'll ever have those feelings again. So even though two people are going through a breakup together, they're going through completely different experiences. One's ego goes up, one's self-worth goes down. So you're not living the same experience. That's why when you stay on the porch knocking on the window, can we talk? I miss you so bad. Look, I've got a list of things I'm going to change. Here's all the ways I can get better.
Yep.
Their sense of self-worth keeps going up. What Coach Rex is saying is absolutely true. You have to create an unexpected sense of loss in them. That's your best shot.
And Ken, this takes some time.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when I'm coaching, I say to people, there is a 4-letter word that I'm going to say today that I want you to remember, and it doesn't start with F.
Yeah.
It starts with S. SLOW.
Yeah.
Slow yourself down. Your clock is running 1,000 miles an hour. I got to get him back. I got to call today. I got to draft this text. I got to do this today. If I don't do that, somebody else is going to get him. Blah, blah. That won't
Yeah.
get him back.
Yeah.
Slow down. Let
Yeah.
things happen. Let thoughts run wherever they will. When you slow down, they're going to miss you. If you're in a hurry to make all this stuff happen, they're not going to miss you.
Oh yeah, and your panic to you it seems like this is logical, this is urgent, this is important, and you
Yes.
think I'm projecting onto them how important they are, how sorry I am, how humble I am, and how great it could be, but I have to save this now. All those things you think you're projecting is actually hitting them as desperation, as weakness, as clinginess, and everything that drains attraction. So the
And
message you think you're sending is not being received that way. It's like a different language.
look at Lee's example when he was 17 years old. Did you say it was a year or 2 years when this girl came back to you, Lee, or tried to?
It took about a year.
About a year. Guess what? my longest success story that I can recall right this minute, it took 2 years.
Yeah.
Now, that's unusual. I don't recommend that. Don't take me wrong. But what I'm saying is, if you try to turn this into a sprint, you're probably going to lose the race.
Yeah.
If you will think of it more as a a 440 or a mile or a longer run, a longer event, the chances go way up in your success pattern.
Yeah, and people don't like what you just said is perfect. So I don't want to I almost don't want to ruin what you said, but I just want to add we look at time as just bad. We look at it like that ship is getting further away. Or like we're drowning in an ocean of pain and that island of hope, which is the relationship, is getting further in the distance. The truth is, time can be an important, vital thing to allow you to reset. Let them, maybe that time will prove to them you're not so easily replaced. Maybe with that time, and I've seen this happen when it works, if people can actually buy into the principles that we're talking about. Let's say your ex is gone for 4 to 6 months. That's going to be terrifying and it's scary. 4 to 6 months is enough time for you to change your physique, for you to change your job, for you to change situations or areas that really do need improvement. And it gives them time to be surprised by how strong you are not to chase them for that long. Like
Well,
again, with my ex, literally tried to have me arrested 3 different times. It was a very disputed divorce. The first thing the divorce mediator said when she came in after 6 months of no contact, your wife would like you to consider any and every reconciliation possibility. I didn't have any sign that she'd shifted until the mediator said that. But it took 6 months for me to kind of rebuild my life, for me to prove to her I didn't need her because I chased her so much at the beginning of the divorce that all the principles we're talking about, I was hitting all the wrong principles. So let that time serve as a chance for you to reframe and trigger a sense of regret that they didn't expect to have. It's not the death note that it seems like.
And look at the numbers, just the numbers themselves. How can you have a 2 year or a 3 year or a 10 year relationship, which we coach a lot of those? How can you have a 1 year relationship and expect things to get fixed in 1 week or 2 weeks?
Yeah.
The numbers don't add up. And if you try to do it that quick, then you're probably ruining your chances permanently. So
Yeah.
that's why I say that 4 letter word is not cursing. It's a blessing.
Yeah.
If you'll take that 4 letter word and apply it. And I don't
Yeah.
know how many's on the call right
Yeah.
now.
We got 92 watching right now.
Okay, 92, there's 92 people. I highly recommend all 92 slow yourself down first.
Yeah.
And when you slow yourself down, you're going to be amazed at what happens.
Yeah. Let them be surprised by how long it's been and you haven't reached out. Like when I was going through it, every day I didn't reach out, I tried to tell myself that isn't that she got a mile away further. It's that every day that I didn't reach out, that was a stone in a wall. And I want that wall to get strong. I want her to look back and think, it's been 4 months, it's been 5 months, it's been 6 months. I haven't heard anything from him. Now all of a sudden, an unexpected sense of loss starts to build.
Yes,
So don't look at time as something to make you panic. And here's the key thing. Okay, you guys tell me if this is true for the people that you coach as well. A lot of times you need that time because if they come back too quickly, let's say you've done no contact for a month or 2 months and you've just been hanging on, you've been white knuckling it. When they come back, they're going to find out that that strength you were projecting was all false.
yep,
And when they find out, you're gonna have a drop in anxiety and a spike in excitement, and you're suddenly going to be super self-aware, so afraid you're going to do something to ruin this new chance at your relationship. They will pick up on that. It's unattractive, and 90% of the time, they're going to throw you away again. So
absolutely.
you use that time in no contact to legitimately become somebody who still loves them but doesn't need them.
And this is one of the things I'm going to compliment you and Coach Lee on. Um, and I don't look around very much, but I notice other coaches that's in our industry. I notice their marketing style, and the majority of them are going after quick result, promising a quick results right now, today, tomorrow, 30 days. If I don't get them back together in 30 days, send me $500 and I'll send you this letter that'll get them back. They're thinking about speed, and I know I've been dumped many times and divorced twice. I know that I felt I wanted speed too. And by the way, in the movies, speed works or longevity works, both. If you just keep hanging in there, the guy gets the girl at the end of the movie, or the girl gets the guy at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
But in the real world, that only happens 1 in 10,000 times.
Yeah, that's why they call it fiction.
Yeah. So slowing it down is, I think, one of the keys. And
Yeah.
I hope all the 92 people here will listen to what you and Coach Lee and myself are saying. This is not a sprint.
Yeah.
Sprints do not work.
Yeah,
Well,
and
and
a lot of
especially,
people who are out there who have YouTube channels. I mean, we were just talking about what there's 92, 97, whatever it is, people watching live at the moment. I remember, Ken, we used to do them and it would be like 700, 1,000. I think we cracked 2,000, live at one
yeah,
point. Um, and then it was like 90,000 total watchers, when it was over and things like that. And that was kind of when the market on YouTube was not as saturated. The industry on YouTube was not as saturated. But there are a lot of coaches, and this will surprise a lot of people. There are coaches who basically they call themselves coaches and they have a product you can buy, but they just make videos. They don't actually have clients, or if they do, they just started having clients. And I watch some of their videos sometimes, and they do have those quick promises, or they will just do YouTube shows and they'll answer questions. And there are some, I know them even personally. I know they don't even do sessions. They do
Yeah.
not work with people. They don't have clients that they work with one-on-one. They don't walk with these people through this. They're just giving you information that they think is right. Maybe they've read somewhere. And it's frustrating because you will modify some things. There are things that I've tweaked over the years of doing this because I've watched it happen a certain way
Absolutely.
multiple times. And so it's like, wait, don't do this because I know what's on the other side of that.
Yeah.
And so it's become where, now, like I said, close to 7,000 sessions, 5,000 sessions. I think I was a pretty good coach. Um, it gets hard for me to trust people who are just talking heads on YouTube. They're just making videos. And a lot of times people will say, why are you not making more videos, Coach Lee? Because I haven't been making as many. A lot of it's because I'm busy with sessions. I'm busy with real life working with people. And that's my primary job. That's what I do. But there are a lot of these people you're going to see on YouTube, even these big channels
Yeah.
who individually, now they may have people on their staff or something, but they don't actually do sessions with people. They're not hearing real stories and seeing all these things. And I had a session yesterday with somebody, and he said, how did you know this? Because I was telling him, did she say this? Did she do this? And I bet she did this. And he's like, how did you know that? And he even said, are you psychic or something? I said, no, I'm not. I've just seen it so many times. I know what's going to happen next.
The principles are consistent. They are. It's like I'll even tell people, I'm not a guru. This is why I'm telling you what I'm telling you. I'm not this is not like Ken's theorizing. Like this is consistent, repeatable human nature patterns. But yeah, I wish sometimes we could. I know Lee has talked to more. I've talked to 5 coaches that have an online presence. 3 of them are huge, like dwarf me. And who they are on their channels is not who they are. And I wouldn't reveal who they are. And I'm amazed that they trusted me enough to even contact me. And I'm not trying to make fun of them, but they know this too, that who they present themselves to be is not who they really are behind the scenes. So it's I don't know, it's a weird field that we're in.
Well, it's a field where if you don't wake up every morning wanting to learn something new, you're not going to enjoy your work.
Yeah.
I learn every single day. And that's the joy of doing this, what we do. Let's get on to some more questions. There may be.
Yeah, I got one here. Let me see. I know I know I shouldn't have, but I messaged people she knew. So I wanted to bring up our age gap, me 28 and her 48, since I felt like that might have been the real reason that she dumped me was the age difference. I already know, I already know what Lee and Rex are going to say to this, but you guys go ahead. I've been talking a lot, so I'll go last here.
Go ahead,
Rex.
Lee. Well, okay, I'll go ahead then. Look, I'm an old dude. That 20-year gap it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Just don't feel like you have to justify or do anything special because you're 20 years younger than she is. There's no advantage to you reaching out unless you're going to do like we said earlier. If you're going to say something that you want to get back to her, I would not want it to get back to her that I was concerned about there being 20 years difference, because you're not showing your strength. Show your strength.
Yeah.
Don't talk about the age because that's showing your weakness. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Oh yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah, definitely. And you also don't want to be in a position where you feel like you have to explain yourself and prove yourself and all that. That's usually not going to work. It's a romantic idea. I remember like middle school, 8th grade, if it was even that late. Uh, this girl talking, I was interested in her, and this other guy was interested in her. And she kept making these. She would say, "Lee, you've worked longer for me, so I should be with you." Of course, she wasn't. She ended up kind of, being the girlfriend of this other guy. But I just remember thinking, like, she's right. I have worked for her a long time. Why should I have to work for someone to love me?
Right.
Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
That's not right. I'm not. And even as a 7th grader or whatever I was, 8th grader, I just thought, It's not how it's supposed to be. She didn't have to work for me. I'm not sitting there saying, well, you worked for me for a long time. And if it's ever that out of balance, unless you have wronged her, in some way, meaningful way, then yes, you do need to serve your penitence. If that's the right word,
Pens, yeah.
you need to make up for it. You need to repent, and it's going to take some time to earn back trust and kind of get things back like they were. But if it's just two people and you just, the year that you were born somehow is being held against you, that's her decision. But I certainly wouldn't try to act like it's, a third head or something that you've got to explain
No, I
yourself
mean,
for.
let's think about this rationally. If you're looking at ego and what other people think of you, wouldn't they think greater of her being 48 years old and able to capture a 28-year-old man's heart?
Yeah, there's the hole in the logic. It's not real. And
Yeah,
we've said this in other super chats too. Like somebody will give you reasons. You're in pain. Your brain wants to figure out why the two of you aren't together, so you'll start hyperanalyzing. I bet this was it. It's not a logical decision like that. Like, what was the age gap when the two of you started dating? Like, how small was it when you started dating compared to how much it grew out over time? It didn't grow over time. It was 20 years when you met her,
yeah,
but it was okay because when you're in limerence and attraction is high, 20 years, especially at those ages, like Coach Rex said, that's not a big deal. And it's even flipped in the wrong direction. You would think the 28-year-old is going to break up with the 48-year-old because they're at a different stage of life and they want to live their life. So whatever you're telling yourself in the middle of the pain and the compulsion to hyperanalyze, a person that truly loves you is not going to break up with you because you're 20 years younger. That's just not how attraction dynamics work.
Yeah, and that's really just a modern thing. Really, in the last, say, 100 years of humanity, did we even care? I mean, people were marrying people that there were large age gaps. They were just grateful to have someone that they, could care about and live life with and have a family with. And so today, we tend to live in this buffet culture where we want everything to be perfect, and we think we have all these options, but yet we have really a record number of single people.
Yeah.
And social media has definitely contributed to that. But we need to get back to where we're kind of more in touch with reality. That would be great if we could get to where we're more in touch with reality, and we just appreciate the fact that I have a connection and a relationship with this person, and they've stood by my side, and they love me and they care about me. That needs to matter. And sometimes I'll kind of talk to people maybe who are thinking about breaking up with someone, and I'll say, you could work at this and you could give this a try, and you could just decide to value the fact that someone thinks that of all the people on earth, they want to be with you. And of
Yeah.
course, they don't have the option of all the people on earth, but you know what I mean by that. So valuing the person that wants to be with you, that you have this relationship with, is important. And when the person does not do that, and they're showing you that they're not doing that, it can be an eye opener, even though I know it hurts to be rejected and feel like they're walking away from you. But if you can try to appeal more to your logic and say, this person's not a good partner if they're not willing to work on it, if they want to go check their options out, if they need to work on themselves, and that's why they're leaving. This is a sign that maybe this is a blessing that they're walking
yeah. Let
away.
them work on themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, let them go
Well,
work on themselves.
and Lee used to say, you never logic somebody back into a relationship. Like, and we used to use this example. Let's say somebody you're breaking up with somebody else. You're the one in the dumping position, and they said, "Please don't do this. You mean more to me than anybody I've ever known before. What do you need me to change? I'll become the person you want me to become. I'll do what you want me to do. Whatever it is, just let me know." Is your attraction going to go up when somebody says something like that? When they project neediness and they value you. You might believe in that moment they want me more than anybody else on the planet. That doesn't make them more attractive. Now imagine you're breaking up with a person and they said, "Okay, wow, I didn't see that coming, but you know what? There was a pretty hot person at work today that asked me out, and I said no, and I was kind of attracted to them. So, okay, hey, thanks for letting me know. You take care of yourself." Out of those two reactions, which one's going to trigger second guessing? Which one is going to make you wonder if I made a mistake? It's not the first one who's giving you the full logic appeal. Anything you want me to do or be, I will do or become for you. That drains attraction. It's hard to feel lucky to be with somebody who sees you as the end all be all. Unexpected strength is usually the number one trigger to make somebody second guess what they lost because they didn't expect to lose it to that degree.
All right, I see another question here. How would you handle social media jealousy anytime I post something? She views the story right away and then post something cryptic. The other day I posted a selfie and right after posted flowers.
Is this a breakup situation?
That's all the info I have. So if the person, Matt, if you want to clarify a little bit, but social media jealousy, where anytime you post something, I think I understand kind of what you're saying, and I assume this is a breakup and that she's still doing it, and that's really common. And jealousy is really common after a breakup as well. The person can leave you, and then they still act like they're entitled to your fidelity. It's kind of ridiculous, but it happens a lot. And there's sort of like still a time clock on the situation, even after a breakup. And the best thing I can tell you to do is to not let her see you participate in her life at all. And that means watching her stories. Don't watch her stories. Don't let her see any response from you to anything she does because that's what you really want to show her. I actually, if no contact was not such a term that's understood now, I would call it something else. I probably would call it no participation because
Yeah.
it's not just about not contacting. I mean, do not participate, do not respond, do not like, do not watch stories, nothing that shows any signs of life on your side. It would be great if they even kind of wondered, like, yeah, are you even in the country?
You know,
Because we just don't want to see participation from you in their life. That's really how you show them that you're moving on with this and you're strong.
Coach Lee, I'm going to show my old man side here. But from what I've seen on social media, only about 30 to 40% of what you see on social media is real.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why I believe this. I have clients sometimes that will say, what if I just put two wine glasses on a table with a rose and just took a picture of that? And I said, well, what would be the purpose of that? Well, to make him jealous or her jealous or whatever. And I'd say, well, did that really happen? Well, no, it hasn't happened, but he or she, whoever, will believe that it happened. And I get this question all the time, and I say, but it's not true.
Yeah.
And so I'm starting to believe. I mean, just flip through Facebook, just see all the untrue stories that are on Facebook, not even related to relationships. But when you got the fiery part of a breakup and trying to make somebody jealous, people will do crazy things that are not even true. I agree with Lee. I would not participate in social media if I get broken up with, or if I were to break up with somebody, I would not participate in social media.
Yeah, okay. We might slightly. It's good to vary a little bit, right? To have different perspectives. I agree with the principles of what you're both saying, and I think it's funny. This question ties into everything we're talking about tonight. Show unexpected strength. Give them an unexpected sense of loss. Surprise them by you being more resilient than they anticipated. That's what's happening here. This person's probably showing strength and no contact. Well, now the ex is like cryptic little messages on social media. They're trying to get the reassurance that you're watching, that you're still there. So I totally agree with Rex. I'm not watching any stories. In my mind, it's like have a button that says unexpected strength. Any way I can press that button, I'm pressing that button. So I would use social media. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you don't like social media, don't do it. I'm not trying to encourage you to get on it. If you're going to be on it, let them see not that you're posting things about them. Don't wear that shirt that they bought you. Don't go take pictures of that place that the two of you used to go to. Don't do these little, they call them smoke signals where you're hinting that you're still thinking about them. That's the worst thing in the world to do. Show that you're resilient. Show that you don't have to go to I used to say, don't go to a margarita bar. Don't go on a party bus. Don't show them I'm having more fun than I've ever had. That either makes you shallow or it's very transparent and they know you're trying to project strength that you really don't have. Just let them see you content. Let them see you going to your family get together. Let them see you out living your life like your life didn't come to a grinding halt
Absolutely. I agree with that.
because they broke up with you.
Absolutely.
But that's a good sign that they're watching. It's that ego got wounded. Why isn't he following me? Why isn't he messaging me? Why isn't he missing me more? Because I don't need you. I loved you, but I don't need you. You want to keep hitting that. Okay, sorry. It looks like we missed one. They said ex of 8 years dumped me, then jumped into a rebound. She broke no contact recently, saying she doesn't miss me. Well, I think that's funny. I'm gonna break no contact just to let you know I don't miss you. I didn't answer. Now she's calling my friends, asking about me and talking trash about me online.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds like a real winner.
Who wants this one first?
Yeah, I'll take it. So, one thing that you're always looking for when someone breaks up with you is a reason to move on with your life. And so I'll have people, ask me on coaching sessions, should I just move on? And my answer is usually, if you can, move on. If you're able to, and you think this might be best, go for it, because you are definitely putting yourself in a place where um, it's going to be an easier path than fighting and trying to get this person back. That's just kind of how it goes. And in this case, she's showing a lot of true colors. She's trying to apparently embarrass you and ruin your name and all that. And it's like, what's in this for you exactly? What prize would you win if you got her back? Someone who's going to talk about you behind your back and try to slander you. I mean, you know, I have ex-girlfriends from high school, things like that. And we didn't even, we didn't do that to each other after breakups. People can break up and not try to ruin the other person's life and not have hostility. It's like, it didn't work out. It doesn't mean we hate each other.
Yeah.
And if they can't see it that way, or if they can't be classy, then you've just learned a very valuable lesson, that this person that you think you're maybe your life's over because you can't be with her. Well, she's actually showing she's a pretty sorry partner. And if anything, how does it look if she knows that you know that she did all that and you were to take her back or get back together with her? Well, you want to talk about an imbalance. Now it's going to look like you will take her back no matter what she does. You'll tolerate all of her mistreatment, and then you'll say, give me some more of that. That is actually not attractive. It's pathetic. It's not respect worthy. And so one thing I would say to you is, if she was to come to you and want to try to get back together, I would have reservations, and I'd tell her that. I mean, one of the most powerful things you can say when the other person comes to you and wants to get back together is to say, I don't know. I want to think about it. Give me a week, and I'll have a conversation with you, but I need some time to think about it. Let them sweat it. Let them know that their actions, breaking up with you, the way they acted at the breakup, all those things, that made you doubt if you wanted to hit a future with them, that made you question them. And sometimes I'll even say, in certain situations, if they want to get back together, I'll say to them, I don't know, because I want a partner who wants to work on things, and I want a partner who doesn't just leave. So I don't know. I'll
Yeah.
talk to you in a couple of weeks. And then maybe you talk to them in a couple of weeks, maybe you don't. But let them know that what they did has possibly ruined it with you. That's a great way to kind of flip the dynamics, or at least push back against some dynamics you don't want to be in, where they're the prize and they can mistreat you however they want and you'll just be waiting forever. So that's a pushback that I would definitely say, if she's doing this kind of stuff, see it as a lesson. See it really as maybe a good opportunity for you to move on to somebody better.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm sorry. I'm gonna need to wrap this up pretty soon. I want to give Rex the last answer on this question. We can do another question if you guys want to. But I would say there's good news, bad news in this. The good news is she's showing interest she doesn't need to show. Like, I think it's funny when somebody reaches out to tell you that they don't miss you. Okay, well, like there's all the relationships in my past leading up to my wife right now. I don't miss. Ask me if I'm going to reach out to them and tell them that I don't miss them. Of course I'm not. That's ridiculous. So the good news is she's thinking about you. The bad news is normally a narcissist, a manipulator, sometimes certain borderlines, they'll use anger, silence, and the pity me, the wounded me. I can't believe you hurt me. It's it's pity, silence, and anger as a way to pull you back in. Instead of just saying, I'm sorry, can we talk? Or I'm sorry that I broke up with you, or I miss you. It's usually one of those three barrels because those three barrels are effective at getting the authentic person to respond. Like if I'm a manipulator and I tell a good person, you don't care about me. Well, the good person is going to be like, of course I care. So that causes them to come back and say, why do you think I don't care about you? If I'm angry, even though you didn't do anything, the good person comes back and says, why are you angry? So it's a good sign that they're thinking about you, but like Lee said, chances are somebody that's doing this after that much time, especially going to your friends and family and talking trash about you, the odds are really, really high. This is a toxic relationship, which sadly can be one of the most addictive. We don't get into that a whole lot, but sometimes the unhealthiest relationships are actually the most difficult to get over, the most addictive, the most painful, and they go deeper in some ways. But I wouldn't even respond to her.
Let me add to that because I coach a lot of people, as I'm sure both of you do, that even though you prove to them that this probably is not the right person for them long term, they still want to hang in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so here's what I say to them. If you're determined to do this, do yourself one favor, and that is act as if you don't need them or want them.
Yeah.
Force yourself to be an actor for a while because this is your best chance of them actually coming back to you the right way. If they believe that you don't want or need them, that's your best chance of them coming back to you. So if you really want them to come back, force yourself into being Hollywood for a while.
Yeah.
And
Fake
even
it
though
till you
you
make it,
don't
right?
want to be that way, force yourself to be that way.
Yeah. I hate cliches. I always hated the term fake it till you make it. But in this situation, it's true. In this situation, it actually works.
Yeah.
All right. What do you guys you can take one more or you ready to call it?
Yeah, let's do one more. Let's do one
All
more
right,
call.
just as I said that, okay. She's got 6 years together. 3 months ago, she went out drinking and work with, sorry, we start over. 6 years together. 3 months ago, she went out drinking with work friends on a Friday, didn't come back until Sunday, and broke up with me. There was no, we need to talk. 1 week before, she was asking for a ring and a baby. Oh my word. You know what, you know what this sounds like?
Wow. So, first of all, somebody who can switch like that, you have to ask yourself, was this real? Was this genuine? And the answer is probably it was not. Um, the other thing that I think Ken was alluding to is I definitely am wondering if there's somebody else in the picture. Is that what you were kind of laughing about, Ken?
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody else in the picture and a switch like that, it's either that's some kind of dangerous. That's a flag. Like narcissists will do this. Borderlines will absolutely do this. I don't know anything about this person, so I'm not trying to diagnose somebody off of what
There's
No, it
five
sounds
five
also
very borderline to me.
five lines. But if you were going to put 5 lines into a summary of borderline, it sounded like these 5 lines.
there's also a small percentage of people who will not leave one relationship until they find another one.
Monkey branching.
Yeah, the only thing is, I think 1 week before, normally monkey branching, a week before the breakup, you have a good idea what branch you're going to be swinging on next. So you're not going to be talking about a ring and a baby.
Yeah.
Um, Bipolar, narcissist, borderline, certain attachment styles, fearful, avoidant.
Weird part is how long the relationship lasted. Was it 8 years? Did you
six
say
years
six,
together.
6 years together is a long time for one weekend to flip everything.
Oh yeah, there was, and that those letters I was throwing out, right? Like those attachment styles, borderline, bipolar. A lot of times internally, there's an anxiety. There's a there's a voice building that just gets stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, as that wall's about to crack and they're about to reject and split and push you away, they're actually trying to hold on to the belief that you're the person they're supposed to be with. So a lot of times that mentality, they'll actually say something like, "I've never loved anybody like I love you." Mention a ring, mention a baby. They're actually trying to grab something to reinforce the idea that this is going to be forever because the other side of them is on the verge of snapping, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I do want to add, this occurred to me about 2 years ago. I started noticing so many of my clients would tell me this person said I was the best boyfriend she ever had, or he told me I was the best girlfriend he ever had. And I started thinking, I hear this so much, and I'm a relationship coach, but I deal primarily with breakups, with separations, people wanting to break the relationship off. Why am I hearing this so often? That if they were the best, why is this person leaving? And sometimes I think that what it is maybe they're torn already. They're having some second thoughts, and maybe they don't want you to know it. And so they're projecting this fake view of the relationship that's how they view it, or they're already feeling guilty and they just want to give you a moment, or they want to say something, to make themselves not feel like they're going to be hurting you. That's a possibility as well. But what it also tells us is that maybe what people think they want in relationships and what they actually want are not necessarily the same things. But have you
Yeah.
guys ever noticed that? Do you hear that a lot where the person will say, "Oh, she said I was the best boyfriend she ever had." And it's like, well, then, huh?
Well, yeah, here's what scares me about it. It usually points to idealized thinking. Like when you start hearing hyperbolic language, like "I've never felt this way before. I can't believe I was so lucky to find somebody like you. You're the love of my life. Please don't leave me." That's idealized thinking, which means they have an expectation of that person, and in the moment, a belief that that person is up here. Well, it's really hard to maintain that when limerence starts to drop. So that leads to them also later on flipping and seeing you. "I can't believe I thought you were that amazing. I can't believe I thought you were Mr. Perfect. I can't believe," when the flaws start coming in. So then it turns. And that explains why it's like a pendulum. You get idealized and then you get knocked off that pendulum, and then all of a sudden it's like it's a different person.
Yeah, definitely. Well, guys, you want to call it a night?
Yeah, I need to go before I have to go through another divorce. My wife's waiting for me for dinner tonight. So
Go, man.
yeah, I won't be a good relationship coach if I go through another one.
Nope, nope. That's too much experience.
Yeah, right.
Well, we want to do these more often, so we plan to do that. But you can book a coaching session with any of us at myexbackcoach.com. That's myexbackcoach.com. And if you're married, go to marriageradio.com. That's marriageradio.com, and there's a lot of resources there for married people. But this has been Coach Lee for Coach Ken and Coach Rex, and you guys have a great night.